Hello. The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy is a wholly remarkable book. Well, series of books, actually, radio play adapted to a series of books, and a television program. This channel is about that book, its sequels, its author, its derivative works, and eventually, hopefully, other absurdist speculative fiction comedy, such as the Discworld series by Terry Pratchett. These early videos are going to be rough and about the process and random thoughts on the content. If you like Douglas Adams and absurd speculative fiction, please subscribe. Higher quality, in-depth, thoughtful videos are coming this spring. Check in, things will develop, or watch and come along for the journey. More on what this channel is and where it is going and its purpose in life later. Let's get into some reflections on the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy series as I reread these books for the first time. Spoilers ahead. It's no secret early on in the series that Ford has some psychic or telepathic ability. But I didn't realize that he uses this quite a bit. He uses it on Prosser, the worker in charge of demolishing Arthur's house in the first act of Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. He uses it again in Life, the Universe, and Everything when he imposes interstellar distances on the police officer with his eyes. I was surprised to see how often this comes up. He is said to give people a smile that makes you twitch. On prehistoric Earth, he just senses the eddy in the space-time wash coming. It's not on any device he just has a feeling about it. It comes up quite a bit. I never really noticed this pretty significant character trait. I'm liking Ford more and more as I reread these books. I have a suspicion that maybe Douglas Adams made Ford and Arthur out of his own personality. Ford maybe is the person that Douglas Adams wants to be, an unruly boozer, a fun-loving guy. Arthur is the person he fears he is, but I'm probably reading too much into this. Then again, that is likely what this channel is going to be. Reading way too much into these works, and more. It will be no shock to hear me say that these books are funny. Being as familiar with them as I am, I didn't expect, though, to laugh so much upon rereading them for the first time. Now, I say I'm rereading these books for the first time because this is actually my first time reading books 1 to 4 in full. From the age of 11 to 21, I listened to the abridged audiobooks read by Stephen Moore almost every night. I had them more or less memorized. I started reading the actual books once or twice, but I found that there was so little in which, that had been cut out that it wouldn't be really worth it. Turns out I did miss some great stuff, but I don't laugh out loud much when reading, but even as familiar as I am with these jokes, I have found myself several times laughing. And it's not the big moments like 42 or the sperm whale's brief epistemological exploration into reality. It's the little things. Today, for example, you would have heard me laugh right out loud reading Ford Prefect's story of the frustration he had in calling British Telecom from the Pleiades. Here's how Stephen Moore related it.
Stupid operators keep asking you where you're calling from, and you try and tell them Letchworth, and they say you couldn't be if you're coming in on that circuit. He looked about the place forlornly. What was I saying? About not phoning from Letchworth. I wasn't. I explained to this lady, bugger Letchworth, I said. If that's your attitude, I am, in fact, calling from a sales scout.
I don't know why, but just this thing about Letchworth makes me laugh. Maybe it's the specific reference that someone in space would try to use, or just the absurdity of what Ford was doing. Not much more to say about that. I don't think I will spend much time theorizing about how and why the humor works. I think I've spent so much of my life remembering the interesting ideas from these books that I forgot just how extremely funny they are. Adams doesn't give a wet slap if you don't get his jokes or references, without being pretentious about it. The joke about Ford Prefect's name is a great example. A lot of the United Kingdom references from these books have entered the North American consciousness since they were written. Like Guinness. When I first read these books, 11 years old, I didn't know what Guinness was, and I certainly didn't know there were cartoons about asphyxiating emus with pint glasses stuck down their throats. I was utterly confused. But really, no one in North America would have any idea what a Ford Prefect was. The car went out of production in the United Kingdom in 1961, and these books were written in the late 70s and 80s. But it stayed in. I mean, I guess it's hard to get out. It's the name of one of the main characters. But it comes up in other places. The central joke, even as I understand it, the inspiring idea of life, the universe, and everything was about cricket. A game which I suspect not even everyone in England understands. What is a wicket? A bail? I still barely know. I thought the wicket on the cover of my Life, the Universe, and Everything audiobook was actually 3 pencils. I think Adams could have made this any complex game, many of which are better known around the world, particularly in the United States, like baseball, for example. But he didn't, and I'm glad he didn't, even though much of this was lost on me as a Canadian youth without the internet. Adams didn't cater to his audience's ignorance, whether this was cultural or scientific. He didn't explain Brownian motion, for example, and if you know what it is, that really illuminates the workings of the improbability drive. If you don't, it's just a MacGuffin word. I think this kind of thing might be why Douglas Adams is really so beloved by scientists. Adams was really smart, and he wrote for smart people. If you didn't understand it, though, I feel like the books didn't talk down to you. They didn't make you feel ignorant. They encouraged you to learn. There's plenty of good humor and interesting ideas for people at any level of general knowledge, but I really do admire his dedication not to talk down to his audience. Douglas Adams uses similes more than any author I think I've ever read. I used to think similes were what people who couldn't really write a good metaphor did, that they were like too basic or elementary school for real authors, but Adams uses them to great effect. They work as jokes, but they are also really effective at instantly conjuring up a very specific image and feel. An obvious example is the pan-galactic gargle blaster, which is described as being like having your brain smashed out by a slice of lemon wrapped around a large gold brick. But here's a powerful one from Life, the Universe, and Everything, describing what is almost certainly Haktar. It was hatred, implacable hatred. It was cold, not like ice is cold, but like a wall is cold. It was impersonal. Not like a randomly flung fist in a crowd is impersonal, but like a computer-issued parking summons is impersonal. And it was deadly. Again, not like a bullet or a knife is deadly, but like a brick wall across a motorway is deadly. Chilling, and somehow funny and interesting all at once. What is this channel? Well, I'm still not entirely sure. The general idea is to do deep dives into Douglas Adams, his works. I hope, eventually, to delve into the works of Terry Pratchett and others as well. Why? I like watching these deep dives about fiction that I love, and I want there to be more about Douglas Adams and other nonsense. I want to first talk about what Douglas Adams has to say about, yes, life, the universe, and everything. So what's coming up? Over the next few months, I'm working on videos about 7 themes and elements which I think are pretty important to the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy series. These are going to be pretty long, deep examinations with better quality and visuals. The 7 elements are meaning and purpose, ethics and morality, technology, design and marketing, bureaucracy and administration. These last 2 may be fused into one, God and religion, perspective shifts and anticlimax, and big ideas and philosophy. The plan is to start releasing these on May 25th, 2022, Towel Day, every couple of weeks. I have so many ideas just for Adams. I'll do later videos, hopefully, on everything he ever made, from Dr. Snuggles to Doctor Who to The Salmon of Doubt. Each Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy book and major character will get the treatment. I will look at the adaptations, and eventually the larger universe works like the Netflix Dirk Gently show, Stephen Fry's series with Mark Cowardine, and Starship Titanic. Everything I can get my hands on, like biographies, Adams lectures, and things like the philosophy of the Hitchhiker's Guide and the upcoming collection of his notes, letters, and papers, 42. I will probably do a few more of these rehearsal videos, some silly teasers about his early work, even some shorts, because that's what we do now. Hey, if this works out for you and you like it, that's great. Maybe 5 years, 2 years, I don't know, down the line, we'll start getting to Terry Pratchett, but I've only read most of his works once, and there are a hell of a lot of them, so that's going to take a while. Eventually, or simultaneously, we might get into other fictional, absurd worlds of nonsense art in general. I mean, Lewis Carroll, Ivor Cutler, They Might Be Giants, Dennis Lee, Tim Heidecker, Stuart Lee, and I think definitely we're going to get into the work by Ben Partridge, the creator of the Beef and Dairy Network podcast. That podcast is really good. It is utter hilarious nonsense, and it creates this really absurd world that I've really only ever seen with Douglas Adams and Terry Pratchett. So let me know your thoughts on the comments. If you like this content, please hit the like, even subscribe, hit the bell. This will help me know that there may be someone out there who wants me to continue. And of course, share and enjoy.